about you, but I'm exhausted. Minnesota's P.J. Fleck, one of 3 new coaches in the conference this year, led Western Michigan to the Cotton Bowl last season. Just an amazing performance. Jeff Brom brings his high-powered offense from Western Kentucky to Purdue. Tom Allen moves from defensive coordinator head coach at Indiana after leading a massive turnaround for the Hoosiers D. Let's start with the 2 new head coaches in the West. So we saw P.J. Fleck. We understand what he's known for. He is known for his energy, his enthusiasm, his optimism. Jeff Brom is known for his schemes. So what does that tell us about each of the respective programs? The fact that Minnesota hired who they did and that Purdue hired who they did.
I think it asks and answers a question that has always been talked about in football. Is it the Jimmies and the Joes, or is it the X's and the O's? Now, P.J. Fleck is going to be, in my opinion, a great recruiter. I think he's going to challenge Mike Riley for the most talent in the West. That doesn't mean that P.J. can't put up a play, can't defend, or can't move the ball. But he's external. He presents to the prospects something different. If you look at his tweets, he has tweeted a bunch. He has tremendous followers. He has 54,000 followers, 1,300 tweets. Okay? So he's external. He's a recruiting Jesse. I mean, he's going to recruit every single day, and he is going to appeal. When he interviewed at Minnesota, he said to the president and the athletic director, if you want different, I'm different. Now, you look at Jeff Brom. He's a scheme guy. Is this Joe Tiller? You know, Joe Tiller was a scheme guy, but he was running a scheme that no one knew how to defend back then. So schemes have become, in my opinion, less important than recruiting in nowadays football. You only have 3 years to turn it around, otherwise they fire you. You got to get talent in right away. You have to make a move. We saw Jeff Brom. He's not as involved in Twitter. Does that mean he can't recruit? Does that mean that Jeff can't go in the home and blow away parents? No. It just means that when you think Jeff Brom, you think X's and O's. When you think P.J. Fleck, you think of Sky Umar, row the boat. That's relationship. That's young people. And so, is it the Jimmies or the Joes, or is it the X's and the O's?
We're fixing to find out, as you like to say.
I'm a Jimmy and Joe guy. I got to be honest with you. I think that's where football is nowadays. So we're going to find out. Some people have both, and we're going to talk about a guy who I think has both later on.
Right. It's hard to argue with Brom's X's and O's. I mean, 45.5 points per game at Western Kentucky.
Hard to argue.
This is not a place known historically for having great high-powered offenses. He did an amazing job. But I hear what you're saying. Now, historically, I have always seen Purdue as more of a scheme job. And so I felt like that was the right hire for them. But it's going to be fascinating to watch this over the next few years. And again,
I'm not saying it's not the right hire.
And I know you're not.
That's the difference. This is the contrasting styles.
But that's why that hire made sense for me for Purdue, because it's the cradle quarterbacks, and you can appeal to a kid of, hey, we're going to throw it all over the place. And frankly, already have a really good quarterback in David Blau. And so, you know, if you can cut down on the interceptions, I mean, there's no reason they can't start throwing it all over the yard right away, and then that attracts Jimmies and Joes.
No doubt.
If you're winning games. So, and I know you're not saying that either of these are mutually exclusive, right? I mean, the scheme guy's still going to recruit, the recruiting guy's still
But one of the things that P.J. was excited about when he was involved in Minnesota is direct flights to Minneapolis. Not a lot of coaches think that way.
Yeah.
Right, there's probably a direct flight all over this country to Minneapolis. It makes it easier for recruiting. Not that that player is going to not be driving home for spring break, but they don't think that way.
Yeah. Okay, what about Indiana? The other school that replaced its head coach. We know about Kevin Wilson leaving Indiana under some difficult circumstances. Tom Allen comes in. They promoted internally, was the defensive coordinator, did a fabulous job in one season, a place where they just couldn't play defense for years, and all of a sudden there they were very competitive on that side of the ball. What does it tell you about IU that that was the move they made?
I have 2 concerns. First of all, I think you've summarized Tom Allen exactly right. I mean, he's done an unbelievable job. But I have a couple concerns, and one of them is related a little bit to Tom Crean. But Kevin Wilson, in my opinion, and I was looking at my notes from this past season, and I made a note I watched Ohio State, Indiana live, and I watched the game tape. And my notes were, you have to be impressed with this Indiana team. I mean, they were blocking, they were defending Ohio State. But when Fred Glass let Kevin go, when they decided to mutually divide, Fred kept saying, what Kevin was doing at Indiana is okay at most places. It's not okay at Indiana. And that means it's a tough football job. There's enough uphill battles in Bloomington that now the culture has to be different football-wise at Indiana. And then Tom Crean, was he aligned? Was he wasn't aligned? So I'm concerned how difficult this job has become. It's tough enough just coaching. Now you have to coach a certain way. The other thing is, Tom is a defensive coordinator by nature, by trade. He's going to continue to be that. When an offensive coordinator becomes a head coach and an offensive coordinator continues to call the plays, the offensive coordinator, head coach is still controlling the tempo of the game. When adjustments have to be made and you're the offensive coordinator and the offensive head coach, usually your line coach can do the blocking and the run game, and your receiver quarterback coach can do the pass game. You don't have to be involved. When a defensive coordinator is also the head coach, he's not controlling the tempo of the game, because when he's coaching, they don't have the ball. He's reacting to the other team. He's reacting, not proactive. So that makes it a problem for a defensive coordinator to be also the head coach. So I worry about any defensive coordinator that becomes a head coach that does that. It's harder to be defensive coordinator and head coach than it is offensive coordinator and head coach, because the offensive coordinator controls the tempo of the game. Yeah. The offensive coordinator has more clock management experience, because the head coach, when he was the offensive coordinator, pressures him to make sure he's managing the clock right. So I think those are some issues. I think Tom has done a wonderful job.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. Great improvement on the defense. He's got some stars to build around. T. Grayscale's coming back. Rashard Fant back as well. Hired a veteran offensive coordinator in Mike DeBoer. So lots to feel good about in Bloomington. But as you say, some challenges inherent there as well.